Hmm. Oh boy. Okay. So what's going on, everybody? Back here, Biscuit Addicts. Here again, another post game reaction. Um, man. Um, look, and I'll be honest with everybody. I tried to do the positive stuff last week. I tried to do it. Tried to do it. Excuse me. Tried to do all that positive stuff that all the other creators try to do. I try to have the positive spin on everything. And to be honest with you, man, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I can't do the positive affirmation stuff. I can't. I'm too reality based. I live in reality. Again, what I told you guys a couple of weeks ago during the Jaguars game. Your eyes did not lie to you today. That is a poorly coached team. That is a poorly coached team that took the field that was unprepared to play against Geno Smith. Think about that. Think about that. Think about how unprepared your team has to be to face Geno Smith, career backup. Career backup Geno Smith, right? He's been in the league for 10 years now. He's got a little over 8,000 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 40 interceptions, or whatever it is, right? Imagine how unprepared your team has to be to play against Geno Smith with Pete Carroll as coach as well, too. Don't forget about that. Pete Carroll is still the coach. That team still is primarily a run team. You have to be unprepared. Like it's I said this a couple weeks ago. This is a poorly coached for the talent on this team. This is the worst coached team in the league by far. I don't even think that it's close. I don't think that it's close. A lot of people would say Denver. I'm not saying Denver because I didn't believe that Denver was going to be good to begin with. I didn't think Russell Wilson was all great. This is the worst coached team in the league by far. This was absolutely embarrassing. This is embarrassing. And for all the people who were on here, I'm not doing no more of the rainbows and butterflies and puppies. I'm not doing any more of that shit. And if you come on here with that shit, I'm probably just gonna block you because I don't even feel like that. I want to interact with Charger fans who live in reality, right? And our reality right now as Charger fans is that our team is not a playoff team. And it is what it is. It's just what it is right now. But this team is not a playoff team. If you think that this team is a playoff team, you're not living in reality. You're not. You're just not. This ain't a playoff team. This is not a playoff team. There's a laundry list of issues that the Chargers have that could be solved with better coaching. There is a laundry list, whole laundry list full of issues that the Chargers have that don't get addressed week in and week out. And we see this every single week. We see it every single week. There's too much. I was going to take notes, but I was like, man, you know what? I'm not even just forget about it. There's too many notes to take. I would have 10 pages of notes and all of it being negative stuff. I didn't see anything good today. If you've seen anything good today, please let me know because I can't see it. I cannot see it. This was the worst. This was the absolute worst performance I think that I've seen from this iteration of the Chargers, right? The Herbert Chargers. There was a built-in excuse in week 3 against Jacksonville, right? That was the injury game for Herbert. You know, he was fresh off the injury, 10 days, right? Things didn't look great. Okay, whatever. There's no excuses now, right? There's no excuses. J.C. Jackson, Mike Williams, they went down today. Obviously, huge injuries. But the thing that I do not want to see, and I can't, I will blow up and steam will come out of my ears if I see people talking about the Chargers and blaming these injuries, the ones that happened today. Well, we don't have Mike and we don't have JC, so we're probably not going to win. We weren't playing well with them. If Mike Williams and JC Jackson both stayed 100% completely healthy today, the outcome of this game would have been the same. I want people to understand that. It would not have changed the outcome of this game. The Chargers were unprepared to play. They were just unprepared to play. And that's from everybody from top down, from Herbert all the way down. They were unprepared to play. And they honestly didn't even have a chance. They didn't have a chance today. Once I seen 14-0, I was like, okay, this is probably not going to be a good game. And if it was going to be a closer game, I still think the Chargers were going to lose because I can't trust them in any high leverage situations to stop a run, stop a pass, third down. What's going on third down? People told me that Brandon Staley was a defensive guru. Where is the defensive guru at? Again, I ask. I just tweeted it out earlier during the game. Brandon Staley is a motivational speaker who wears a headset on the NFL sideline. That's what he is. There is no defensive guru here. There's nothing defensive guru about him. He has to, and again, I'm not the guy who's going to come on here and just call for coaches to be fired willy-nilly, but he has to go now. He has to go now, and it's becoming more clear every single week. You got to think about it, too. Last week, the Monday night game, right, it was all, a whole mess of a game, right? Chargers did end up coming out on top, but you got to think about it. The Chargers were competent Denver Bronco offense away from being 3-4 right now. What the Chargers should be. They should be 3-4 right now. They are just not a good team. This is not a playoff team. This team has regressed. They have gotten better on paper. The roster has gotten better, but this team has regressed. This is not a good team. I want people to understand this. This is not a good team. All right now, week 7, going into the bye, all of us, Charger fans, we need to readjust our expectations for this team. We need to readjust right now because the end of the bye week next week is halfway through the NFL season. You can't be playing this bad right now and expect to do anything. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen in the league, right? There have been teams who have turned it around and had miracle runs and all that stuff, but that is rare. That's rare and it's few and far between. You cannot count on that. You honestly can't count on that. You can't count on this Charger team turning it around and saying, hey, we're going to do this and that. No. If you are playing bad and you put all that bad film, out there through the first 8 weeks, you're probably going to be doing the same thing the final 8 weeks of the season. So this is, again, we have to adjust our expectations as Charger fans. This team is probably not going to make the playoffs again. They're just not. They are just not. The emperor has no clothes now. Brandon Staley, he has been fully exposed. He has been completely fully exposed. They pulled everything off of him. Everything off. If everything else was off of him before this game, they pulled his drawers off this game. And he's bare ass now. He's completely exposed. He's completely exposed as a guy that is completely over his head and that is a better talker than he is a coach because this team is not prepared. And I can tell these guys don't do any game. They don't do any scouting. They don't do any specific game preparation. They come out and they do the same thing in practice every single day. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is. They come out and they do the same exact things. They run the same exact drills. They don't game plan. This team does not game plan. There is nobody that can ever convince me that this team game plans. They come out and they do the same exact shit against every single opponent. And it doesn't matter if the opponent is, the Broncos 1 week, right? A team who can't do anything offensively, or the Seahawks, right? Who are pretty good offensively. And I just did the videos a couple of days ago. And I said that the Seahawks are pretty good offensively. They can move the ball. Geno Smith has been playing, very well, right? He's been playing better than Russell Wilson. And this offense, was pretty much made for Russell Wilson to play this way, right? Russell Wilson wants to play the other way, but Geno plays the way that the offense is supposed to be played, right? He gets rid of the ball. He goes through his progressions. He stays in the pocket. He does what they want him to do. So I said this offense can move the ball. And that's what they did. That's exactly what they proceeded to do. Like, I am just a regular guy here. Why am I giving insight to the game? I don't know. I'm not in the building. I have nothing. I'm just watching, literally just watching on TV, watching the All 22 film on NFL Plus. That's literally all I'm doing. And I'm saying exactly what the Seahawks are going to do. But somehow, Brandon Staley, the coaching staff, they don't. I do not understand this. I absolutely don't understand. This is it is perplexing to me. It honestly is perplexing. Like, I have no words. I really have no words for an NFL head coach to be this ill prepared. Especially to be cutting your teeth. He cut his teeth on defense, right? and he sold the Chargers a bill of goods as a defensive guru, as a guy who was going to come in and fix the defense. Guess what? The Gus Bradley defense was way better than this defense. Way, way better than this defense. And this defense actually has more talent on it. But the Gus Bradley defense was way better. Gus Bradley defense got off the field on third downs. This defense can't. Third and long. Third and long. How many third and longs did they complete today? 3rd and 11, first down. 3rd and 14, first down. I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't understand how anybody still believes in whatever it is that Brandon Staley is selling. This guy is not. He is not who you think he is. He is not who we thought, he was when he first got hired. He's not. He is just not. He's not. He's not the guy. And people need to understand this now. They just need to understand it. It's the cat's out of the bag. 25 games. We're 25 games into Brandon Staley's tenure, and the Chargers have not gotten better. They just haven't. They've gotten better on paper, but they have not gotten better on the field. So at this point now, it's up to the ownership. It's up to them to make a change, because there's nothing more you have to see now. There really isn't. There really is nothing more that you have to see. There has to be a change, has to be made. You cannot go into next season with the same coaching staff and think that you're going to have the same results. It just doesn't make sense. The Chargers were talented last year. They're even more talented this year. And, you're on pace to have a worse season with a more talented team. Please, I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And again, people are going to work overtime to tell you that you didn't see what you've seen today. You've seen everything that you've seen today. Please understand, you've seen everything that you've seen today. Your eyes were not lying to you. All the mistakes that were made, another huge run, right, by a defensive guru. Why does defensive guru get gashed on the ground almost every game for a run that's more than 50 yards? Why? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen to good defensive coaches. Why? Why does it happen to our great defensive coach? It doesn't make sense. It really, really does not make sense. I'm flabbergasted, honestly, really. Okay, I wanted to get into, I know a lot of people, I want to read some of the comments here, man. Let's see. Damn, there's a lot of comments here. Let's see. Imagine Dable and Herbert. And this is the guy who the Chargers passed upon last year. Brian Dable, a guy, he's now a head coach in the NFL, but he's a guy with a ton of coaching experience. He coached with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I believe he was their offensive coordinator, I think, for a year. He coached with Nick Saban in Alabama. He was their offensive coordinator for a couple of years, a couple of national championships, I think. I think he was with Jalen Hurts and Tua when they were there. Went to the Buffalo Bills. He was the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen, I think, for what, two years, maybe 3 years, whatever. A guy he has a ton of experience, NFL, college, and you see him now. The Giants are now, what are the Giants now? 5-1 or 6-1? I think they're 5-1, right? 5-1. But I mean, regardless, the Giants are good. The Giants are a good team. They're a good team. And yes, they don't have a lot of talent, but coaching matters. Coaching matters. They're doing this with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not a talented guy. Like, he's okay. He's okay. He's not in the top 20 starting quarterbacks in the league. He's bottom 20, way more than the bottom half. He's bottom third of the league as far as starting quarterbacks go. And they've only lost one game. And it was a close game too, to a pretty good Dallas Cowboy team. So this is who the Chargers passed up on. So hopefully, the Spanos family is happy watching this guy succeed with far less talent. That was obviously a huge mistake, and we are paying for it now. So the Saints think too, and could fire their coaching staff. We could bring the whole game together. I mean, maybe, possibly, if Sean Payton is interested in taking over the reins here, because at this point right now, to me, this is a fork in the road moment for the organization, because there has been so much bad football that the Chargers have put out there throughout this first half of the season. There's so much bad football. So this is literally a fork in the road moment to where if this team like literally doesn't turn it around and have a decent playoff run, then you got to clean house. Because at this point right now, the players know it as well too. A couple more of these stinkers, and you're not gonna have a choice. The Spanos family is not gonna have a choice. There's not gonna be any way that they're gonna be able to bring this coaching staff back. There's not gonna be any way they're gonna be able to bring Brandon Staley back. A couple more of these, and when you look at the schedule, a couple more of these could happen too. So, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, because I had the schedule written down here. So we had Seattle today, obviously a big, huge, embarrassing loss. So you have a bye. Then at Atlanta, right after the bye, right? So Atlanta, they got smacked today pretty good by the Bengals. But Atlanta is a team that is they're not the most talented. They're kind of in the rebuilding phase, but they can beat you. Atlanta can beat you. They're a little bit like Seattle to me. So Atlanta, that's a losable game. Then you have the big game here. These next two games after Atlanta at San Francisco on Sunday night, right in Week 10, and then Week 11, Kansas City in LA. So if you have the Chargers lose, if they lose two of these games, then what are you looking at now? What are you looking at? So let's say they come out and they beat Atlanta outside of the bye, right? To go to 4-4. You lose at San Francisco and then you lose to Kansas City. Now you're 4-6. Now you're 4-6, and now everything that you have planned, everything that you had hoped to happen, does not happen anymore. You go to 4-6, you're not winning the division. There's no chance for you to win the division. Kansas City's rolling, and they're not going to give it up. So now, at that point, at 4-6, your best hope is to be a wild card team, right? That's your best hope at 4-6. So that's just after that. So then after Kansas City, Week 12, at Arizona, right? Arizona's not the best team in the world. I think the Chargers can beat them, but we don't know. With the way that this team is playing now, we don't know. We honestly don't know. After Arizona, then you're at Las Vegas. You're playing the Raiders in Las Vegas. Losable game. Very, very losable game. You have Miami at home, right? Another losable game, especially if they get Tua back and if he's playing well and if he's healthy. Very losable game because these guys were playing really, really well to start the season off. They've had injuries. They're going to get people back by Week 14, though. So, again, that's another losable game. Tennessee has been playing well. They have been really lucking themselves into wins. They've lucked themselves into so many wins. I think they believe that they're a pretty good team now. And they're playing like it. I have to give them credit. They are playing like it. They started off 0-2, and they've been winning ever since. So, again, that's another losable game. The Indy, a Week 16, that's the only game that I see that is not really like super losable. I think the Chargers can beat them. But by that point, would it be too late? And then you have the Rams, who are not playing well, obviously, Week 17. Then you're at Denver to close the game, close the season in Week 18. With the way that this team is playing now, all of these games are extremely, extremely losable. They are losable with the way that this team is playing. You come out at home and you have a performance like that. This is losable football that the Chargers are playing. It is embarrassing. It's honestly embarrassing. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the Chargers have to do. I don't know what they have to do to come out and play better. I really don't. And there's no fix to this. Like, there's just not a fix. At this point, there is no fix. They are who they are. And, it sucks, but they are who they are. This is our team. And this is not a playoff team. This ain't a good team. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. This coaching staff needs to go. Yes, they need to go. They need to go. There's, again, fork in the road moment here. Anything short of a playoff miracle run, they got to go. They have to go. Like you said, Staley is a used sales car person with his redundancy, and that's all he is. That's all he is. All he does is talk. They don't prepare. This team doesn't prepare. They do not prepare. And that's the one thing, too, about football. Like, you can watch and see teams as I've, learned more and more about football, like every single season, right? I've learned more and more. I've consumed more, film, more all 22 film, and just other channels like who break down film and show things like that. As you learn more about football, you can understand that this team doesn't prepare the way that other teams do, right? A Bill Belichick defense, they don't prepare that way. A Mike Tomlin defense, they don't prepare that way. They don't come out and show you anything different. They come out and they run the same stuff, and they play reactive football. They react to whatever the offense is doing. They don't come out and have an offense off balance. They do the same thing every single week. And this whole thing, now I know why Brandon Staley wanted Khalil Mack, because if he has Khalil Mack and he has Joey Bosa on the edges, that creates a huge mismatch for any. It doesn't matter who your offensive line is. That is a huge problem for your offensive line. That's a huge issue up front. I can see why, because he would look like a defensive genius if Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa were 100% healthy, coming off the edges all year long. It will look different. This defense will look different, and he would look different. So I understand why he wanted Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack was a quick fix to the issues, most of the issues that the Chargers had last year. Right now, obviously stopping the run, that is still there. But, getting stops on third down, rushing the passer, getting strip sacks, fumbles, all of that type of stuff, that would have been there with Khalil Mack. I see why he wanted Khalil Mack. And obviously, I wanted Khalil Mack too. He's a great player. But for him specifically, Brandon Staley, Khalil Mack is a guy that could have really put him over the edge as far as a defensive mind, right? Not just a scheme or whatever, but having that guy to go along with Joey Bosa would really put him, I guess maybe he felt like in his mind, it would put him over the top because, whatever offense you have, right? Andy Reid, the Chiefs, whatever, they can come out with the best play that they have, best play in their book. All the motion, all the bells and whistles and all that stuff. Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa could have blown it up, though, right? They could have blown it up. They could have had the perfect call, whatever it is, right? Let's just say it's a fourth down, 2 minutes left, whatever. They got to get this fourth down to continue the game or win the game. Either of those guys could blow it up. And that makes Brandon Staley look good because it erases his incompetence as a defensive coach, his incompetence and his unwillingness to prepare for specific opponents, right? Every opponent doesn't do the same thing. So why would you prepare for them the same way? This is what this Charger team does. And honestly, it is perplexing to me. Why? I don't know why. Every team does something differently. Every quarterback is different. Every offensive line is different. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for the Chargers to come out and do that. But they do. And they do it, and they do it every week. And this is what you see. This is what you see. This is a poorly coached team, a team that is not in position to win, ill-prepared every single week. If you can't prepare against Geno Smith, how the hell are you going to prepare against Josh Allen in January in the playoffs? What? I mean, come on, man. Come on. Oh, boy. Keenan Allen was looking decent. Defense was great in the beginning. I feel like the whole team started looking scared the moment one injury happened. No. Defense was not looking good. Keenan Allen wasn't looking good either because he was out the game. He was not in the game. He was not. He was injured. He shouldn't have came back, to be honest. So, no, that's not a true statement. Defense was not looking good. They were still giving up a lot of yards, and Geno Smith was cutting them on the end. He was cutting them. He was slicing through this Charger defense like nothing. They didn't do anything to, really, take him off his mark or anything. There was nothing that they did. I mean, they sacked him a few times, but that's nothing. He was back there just dropping dimes. They didn't do anything to him. They didn't confuse him. They didn't do anything at all to make his job harder. He was just back there just throwing dimes, getting first downs, converting on third down. And yeah, no, they didn't. Defense was not looking good. The only thing that I seen good from the defense was early, that Kenneth Murray interception that got, batted. I think it was Asante Samuel. He batted it, but I mean, after that, the defense was not good, and they weren't good all game long. So I'm all for trashing coaches, but we got to quit treating Herbert like God when he has a career losing record and dug us into a 17-point hole. Yeah, Herbert got to play better too. Herbert has to play better. But here's the thing though with Herbert. We've seen Herbert ball. We've seen Herbert ball his rookie season. We've seen him ball. We've seen him do things that a Charger quarterback has never done. This coaching staff is ruining Justin Herbert. They're ruining his confidence. And this offense does not suit a quarterback with Justin Herbert's skills. It just doesn't. This does not suit Justin Herbert's skills. You do not see Josh Allen playing this way. You don't see Josh Allen playing this type of offense. You don't see Josh Allen throwing 5-yard outs. You don't see that. You do not see that. And if you did see it, Josh Allen would look like Justin Herbert did. Kind of like Josh Allen did his first couple of seasons in the league. That's how Josh Allen looked. This is what they are regressing. They are making Herbert regress. Everything that this offense does is based off of Justin Herbert being perfect. And you absolutely can't. It doesn't matter how talented your quarterback is. You cannot have offense like that. Things have to be easy. You need layups. I have consistently said this since the season started. You need layups on offense. If you do not have layups, it makes your quarterback's job harder. The receivers get no separation, right? There's obviously a issue there. There's no speed on this offense. There's no speed, and the Tom Telesco, the GM, they've built it this way. There's absolutely no speed. There's no downfield threat, which you need. And a lot of people are complaining about, yes, you need a downfield threat to take pressure off of the other receivers. That way they can gain separation. Yes, that needs to happen. You need to have a speed guy that can gain separation. The Chargers do not have that. And then number two, this offense, the way that it is called, these receivers cannot get any separation. If you are running short ends, just short routes in general, you cannot get enough separation from receivers to complete a high number of completions. You just can't do it because your quarterback has to be perfect 100% of the time in order for that to happen. And it just can't happen. You have to scheme guys open. You have to scheme guys open. And if you don't scheme guys open, your quarterback cannot get them the ball. So yes, Herbert does need to play better, but they are not playing into his strengths. And I said this in the offseason. And there's a lot of people who came at me because Joe Lombardi, he had the fifth, he was the offensive coordinator of the fifth best offense last year. How's that looking this year? How is that looking this year? It's not looking good this year, is it? Because that was all bullshit. Justin Herbert, he was lucky enough to stay healthy pretty much all last season. He was lucky enough to stay healthy, and he balled. He balled the way that we knew he could ball because that's what he can do. But as time goes on, you need your offensive coordinator, you need the offensive staff to scheme you some easy stuff, to scheme you some layups, to scheme you some easy stuff down the field, some 1, 2, 3 yard drives. That's what you need. You cannot go down the field and be perfect every single time. There's not really a quarterback who can do that. I've seen Tom Brady do it at certain points, maybe in the playoffs and things like that. But every game, it just can't happen. And then if you don't have a running game either, it puts even more pressure on the quarterback to be perfect. And Justin Herbert is pressing because they expect him to be perfect. It is not fair. That is not how you coach a young quarterback. You don't do that. You absolutely do not do that. You do not expect your young quarterback to go out there and thread the needle every single time, right? Every third down, every second and long, every first and long after a penalty. That is unfair. You cannot ask that of him. And there's really no other offensive coordinators who ask that of their young quarterbacks. They don't ask that. Nick Sirianni, he doesn't ask that of Jalen Hurts. They scheme stuff in. They get guys wide open. They get running backs out the backfield wide open. They get tight ends open. They get receivers open. That's what the damn scheme is. That's what your scheme is for. That's why you have a scheme, to be honest. Because if you're not going to have a scheme, then just tell everybody to go out there and get open. That's pretty much what the Chargers are doing right now. And you're seeing what's going on. It is affecting Herbert's confidence. I watched last week. I watched the Kansas City and Buffalo game. Why? Tell me why. Stephon Diggs, right? One of the best receivers in the league. He is certainly a top 3 receiver in the league, right? I'm not going to go here and there whether he's 1 or 2. Stephon Diggs is a top receiver in the league, and everybody can agree with me on this, right? I think he had 6 catches for 127 yards. 4 of them catches, I seen him running wide open. And every single one of them wasn't a coverage bust by Kansas City. 4 of those catches, I seen him running wide open, and he got 15 plus yards on them. Why is that? It is because it is in the scheme. It's in the damn scheme. He put pressure on the defense. What's the other, the tall guy, Gabe Davis, was over there putting pressure on the defense as well, too. It's schemed into it. It's schemed into their routes. It's schemed into what their offense philosophy is. That's what it is. Because Stephon Diggs, why is he running open? The Chiefs were trying their best to double team him when they could. Why was he running open? Why? Because it's scheme. It is scheme. They came out and they showed the Chiefs something that they haven't seen on tape. They gave him a different look. They changed some stuff up. They were expecting him to be on the field side, but then they sent him over to the wide side. Now he's running open because the defense is confused. All of it is built into what the scheme is. The Chargers don't do that. They come out and they run the same plays all the time. I have watched this tape. I've watched the Charger game tape. I watched every single game tape on NFL Plus since week 1. The Chargers come out and they run the same exact shit. They don't change up formations. They don't change anything up. They run the same exact shit from the same exact formation against every single team. So now the reason why you're seeing this offense struggle is because all these other teams are watching this too. Pete Carroll watched the game film from last week against the Broncos. Then he watched the game film, against the Browns. And he's seen the same shit that I seen. Oh, they're running the same stuff. Anytime they're in shotgun on 1st and 10, they're going to run, right? They're going to run from the shotgun, or anytime they're in shotgun on 2nd and 12 or whatever, they're going to go with the 5-yard out, whatever. So they're playing aggressive. Every defense can play aggressive against us because they know what the Chargers are going to do, because they do the same shit every single week. Week in and week out, it's nothing changed. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing that changes about it. So how are the receivers supposed to get any depth? How are they supposed to get any separation on the routes? How? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, man. It's bad. It's bad. It is bad. Very, very bad. Let's see. Damn, I'm trying to get to these comments. We have a lot of comments here. This one right here. I want the Chargers to sell the team. The ownership is incompetent. Yes, they should sell the team. They should sell the team to people who are interested in winning, people who are interested in elevating this franchise, because what's going on now is just not cutting it. It's not cutting it. It's not cutting it at all. At all. Oh, boy. Let's see. Worst part is this was the easiest half of the season, so we got a lot of problems moving forward, and now we have issues at the wide receiver position. Yes, we do. And we had issues at the wide receiver position before Mike went down as well, too. The Michael Bandy experiment, I love Michael Bandy's story and all that stuff, but the Michael Bandy experiment's got to end. It's got to end. He's just not. I mean, maybe he can get on with another team, but he's not what the Chargers need. And I feel sorry for him too, because he was playing out of place. They had him on the outside. He's playing on the outside. Like, he can't get any separation. Just his skill set, he can't get any separation. And then with the routes that they have him running, he has no chance. He has no chance. He looked very bad today, but I don't blame all that on him. A guy like that should never be playing the outside ever. He's what, 5'9" or whatever. You shouldn't be playing the outside. Like, the corners are bigger than you. He's not a straight line speed guy, so he can't get past the corners. The Chargers have a lot of issues right now. They have a lot of issues. I see a lot of people talking about Odell Beckham. He ain't coming to LA, at least not with the Chargers. If he's gonna go and go somewhere, he's probably gonna go to Kansas City, maybe somewhere that they have a chance of winning. But I don't see him coming here. I honestly do not see him coming here. Yeah. Let's see. Herbert's bad playing, or lack of confidence, falls solely on the quarterback coach and the leaders. Yes. Yep. I've seen college teams better than this. Yes, it is. They have broken him. They break. Imagine if you go to work and you have to be 100% accurate in everything you do every single day. Imagine how much pressure would be on you. Imagine how much confidence you would lose the first mistake you make, right? Imagine how bad you would feel. You would feel bad. You wouldn't feel like you're exceeding expectations, or you wouldn't even feel like you're meeting expectations. Your confidence would be shaken. If you had to be 100% accurate all the time, you would not be the same person. So, like, that's what the Chargers are expecting of Justin Herbert, and it's not fair. It's not fair at all. I do not like it. Let's see. Good news is we're actually 4-3. I know it doesn't feel like it. Yeah, we're 4-3, but that don't mean nothing right now, to be honest. It honestly doesn't mean anything. The way that this team is playing, it's just not. I think it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Not good enough at all. We're 4-3, but again, just like I said, if the Broncos knew their asshole from a hole in the ground on offense, we would be 3-4. They don't, though. So the Broncos they shit the bed on offense. They have been all season long. That's the only reason why we won. And we barely squeaked that win out. Barely by the skin of our chinny chin. We barely squeaked that win out. So it wasn't a impressive win. It wasn't anything to write home about, but the win is a win. But this team is just not good. They're just not good for a team like the Seahawks, who the Seahawks are not going to make I don't see them making the playoffs. I honestly don't. I don't think they beat the Rams. I don't think they beat the Niners. Maybe they can beat Arizona again, but I don't think they make the playoffs. Honestly, and if they do make the playoffs, they're probably going to be a wild card if they do make the playoffs. But this is not a playoff team that the Chargers lost to. The Jaguars, we just got our ass whooped by them in week 3. They're not a playoff team either. So we are getting our teeth kicked in by non-playoff teams. What do we expect to do? Like, what a 4-3 record is good. Yes, it's good on paper. That don't do us nothing when a non-playoff team can come into on our home field and kick our teeth in. That honestly doesn't mean nothing. I do not feel good about it at all whatsoever. J.C. Jackson, the biggest waste of money. We need better linebackers and a safety. Yeah, he went down, man. I feel bad for him. He seemed like he was starting to play better today, but I do feel bad for him. Let's see. It says that he had a dislocated kneecap. J.C. Jackson had a dislocated kneecap, will undergo MRI tomorrow. So I thought it was possibly a ACL the way he went down, but it says dislocated kneecap. So that's the update I just seen right now from Ian Rappaport. So, oh man. The team is too busy doing media shots and practicing. That's literally all I see this team doing, worrying about media. Right. And that's what they do, and the Chargers social media and all that stuff. I don't even pay attention to it during the season. It's fun in games during the off season, but when your team is playing like shit like this, I don't care. I don't want to, whatever. But State has to go, and Lombardi worst coach team. It's not even close. Starters should have been pulled at the end. Also, why are they in the game after you see we keep getting injured? Exactly. That's another thing, too. And he's going to come out and say at the press conference, it's because they wanted to finish the game with their teammates or whatever. I don't know. So whatever it is. Oh, man. This is just – I like Staley as a person, but he has to go. He makes poor calls, and as fans, and importantly, the players deserve better. Yes, he has to go. He has to go. And again, fork in the road moment here, but it is what it is. I know it might sound like an overreaction, but I feel like this team is the biggest failure in NFL history. NFL history? I don't think NFL history. NFL history is there's been several teams. I know the Eagles when they signed all those when they who they like Vince Young and what's the dude's name? Nnamdi Asomugha, and they signed all those a lot of big name free agents, and I think he was like, oh yeah, this is a dream team or something like that, and they ended up being like 6-10. That's a way bigger disappointment than the Chargers, but I don't know. I guess if you're a fan, maybe you can feel that way, but I don't think a lot of people expected the Chargers to do a whole lot this year. Maybe get a playoff win, but I don't know, man. The people were not in on Staley. Staley kind of showed his hand last year. That Raider game was bad for him. That was his worst coach game last season. So a lot of people were down on him because of that coming into the season. So, I don't think the national media is going to feel that way. Man, we are a horrible team. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Herbert is Ryan Leaf 2.0. Come on, man. Come on. It's too emotional. Herbert has already done more in his career than Ryan Leaf had. Come on. Justin Herbert is not Drew Brees, and we need the OC to realize this. I know. But Joe Lombardi, he only knows so much. He doesn't have a vast knowledge of like offense. He doesn't have a really fundamental understanding of any type of offense. That's why I see a lot of people, and I posted on the community tab where I guess it was the Bolt Beat Twitter page saying that if the Chargers hired Sean Payton, the offense would basically look the same as a Joe Lombardi offense. And that's what they said. And they're verified, and I don't know who these people are, but they clearly don't know shit about football. Saying that a Sean Payton offense will look like a Joe Lombardi offense. Joe Lombardi is doing what he's seen Sean Payton do, right? Without any of the knowledge, without any of the fundamentals, without any of the functionality as far as the offense goes. He's just doing he's literally copying what he's seen Sean Payton do in New Orleans. That's what he's doing. Sean Payton has a fundamental understanding of offense. He has roots in the West Coast offense. He really learned, throughout his career, the early part of his career, he learned from Bill Parcells. He he had a understanding of what offense is, and he also coached in two different eras as well too. The run heavy era, way back early in the 90s, he coached in. He was able to understand how to do things, in the running game, and even in the short passing game as well. And then he coached in this era too, the pass happy era. Obviously, he's the reason why Drew Brees is the Hall of Famer. So he has a fundamental understanding of what offense is, how it works. And he's never coached a guy that has been as talented as Justin Herbert. So for anybody to say that, for anybody to even allude to that, doesn't know anything about football. Sean Payton would not be running the same New Orleans offense with the Chargers. I don't even think that he would even be running anything that he ran. Like, I don't want to say anything, but his fundamentals and what the philosophy would be, it would be a completely different philosophy with the Chargers than it would be with New Orleans. Like, it wouldn't even look the same. It wouldn't even look the same. The formations would look different. And if you were thrown the tape and compare a Sean Payton coach New Orleans team to a Sean Payton coach Charger team, they would look different offensively. So whoever's saying that doesn't know what they're talking about. Joe Lombardi and Sean Payton are not even in the same category. Joe Lombardi is doing what he's seen Sean Payton do, and that's what he's doing right now. So the people who say that do not know anything about football. Oh man, let's see. Damn, gotta get caught up here. Let me get caught up. Let's see. Injuries on injuries. We never get a break. Yeah, but we were playing bad before the injuries. So I feel sorry for the players, but the injuries are not the thing that are going to derail this team. This team was bad before injuries. So the coaching, everything about it was bad before injuries, before Rashawn Slater got injured, before Keenan Allen got it. Everything was probably going to go this way, regardless of injuries, because this is not a well-coached team, and you can't get past that. You can't get past not being a well-coached team. Let's see. Who is it? James is way overrated. He should just come in for blitz packages. Who are you, School the Pro? You do not know what you're talking about. No, Derwin James is Derwin James is the top safety in the league. What do you mean just come in for blitz packages? No, you're overreacting, and you're blaming the players for what the coaches should be making up for. This is ridiculous. You just called Justin Herbert Ryan Leaf. What are you doing? You clearly do not know football by making these comments publicly. Come on now. Yes, Kamari Cummings. Yes, please let this man know. Come on. We don't roll out. We're going to run slant routes. If you can't trust your receivers to run a slant, then you don't have a receiver on the team. Yeah, that's all we do is run slant routes. What are you talking about? They run slant routes too much. That's what it is. This is a short passing game. Come on, man. Let's see. School to Pro complained about all coaching aspect and like it's players. Yeah, it's not the players. The coach is not going to call plays that they can't run. What? What are you talking about? School the Pro. Who are you and what are you talking about? What you're saying makes no sense. I'm saying if I was a wide receiver, I wouldn't be able to run a slant either because I'm a weak ass wideout, and the coach would scratch that play off the call sheet. What? What are you? What are you? What? What are you saying, man? What are you saying? He does nothing. Who does nothing? What are you talking about? Let's see. What do you think Staley has to do to keep his job? Just make the playoffs or win the playoff game? I think he got to win the playoff game. Because listen, man, if you make the playoffs, then one wild card game, right? Just based off the way the Chargers are playing, that could end ugly. Whoever the other wild card team is could come in and kick our teeth in, right? Or depending on well, yeah, no, if you are with the 7th seed or 6th or 7th seed, you're gonna end up going to, I don't know whoever gets the third or fourth seed, right? And they're going to go kick your teeth in, right? You're probably going to end up playing at Baltimore. You're going to have to travel to Baltimore. Probably have to travel to Tennessee or something like that. They're going to end up kicking our teeth in a playoff game if the Chargers are playing like this. If they keep, I mean, honestly, if they're playing like this, they're not going to touch the playoffs. But yes, they would have to go on a large playoff run, I think, for Staley to keep his job. And you know, there's so many factors now that affect Staley's job performance because he cannot rely on Justin Herbert anymore now. And that's what he was doing last year. All of the success that the Chargers had last year was based off of the right arm and the legs of Justin Herbert. Now he had the injury. Herbert's not playing as well. His confidence is not where it should be. So Staley, his side of the ball is more glaring now, right? It's more glaring that he's not taking care of business, right? And that the defense is not playing the way that it should be playing. With still so much talent on this team, right? Bosa is out, but he's going to be back later on, right? So they still have so much talent on this team, but he is not putting any of these players in a position to make any plays. They are not in a attack position. They are in a reactionary position on defense. They come out and they do the same thing on defense. They come out and get the same looks, same vanilla looks. And if they're not pressuring the quarterback, if they're not getting pressure on the quarterback, then the other offense can literally do whatever they want to do. That's the only time the Chargers make any plays is when they get pressure on the quarterback. And that's maybe 3 to 4 times a game, right? Maybe 3 to 4 times a game, you get a couple of sacks and that's it. Outside of that, they can do whatever they want to do. Geno Smith was out there balling today. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. He just looked like he was, playing pitch and catch at practice. That's honestly what it looked like to me. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure going on. The Seahawks receivers were able to separate. They were able to make plays, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good by any stretch. And again, if they're not getting pressure, then they can't get a stop. And that's not how good defensive coordinators, that's not how good defensive minds operate in this league, right? Yes, you want to get pressure. You want that to be your number one priority on defense. Try to pressure the quarterback, but you have to hold up on the back end. Coverage has to be tight. Guys got to know where to sit at in zones, right? They have to read their keys if they're playing man-to-man and stuff. There's so many things to teach on this defense. There's so many things that this defense can really, really tighten up, but they haven't done it at all. They've just gotten worse. They have regressed, right? We've said that they were playing well the first couple of weeks during the season, and since then they've regressed. They have regressed, and they had a decent performance last week against an offense who doesn't know how to do anything. They can barely get set for plays, right? I'm talking about the Broncos. That's the only offense you're going to see like that for the rest of the year. All these other teams that we're going to be playing in the second half have pretty good, damn good offenses. They've put up 40 points. They've scored a lot. They've got a lot of rushing yards. They've done a lot on the ground, and they have quarterbacks who can pass the ball, right? So these offenses that we're going to see in the second half, they're going to put it on us. They're going to put it on us. And Brandon Staley is not. He has shown that he is not up for the job of really trying to stifle a good offense. He's just not up for it. He's not, Let's see. Sadly, I think Tom Telesco let Staley keep his job. Only way to rid Staley is fire Tom Telesco as well. Possibly. The Spanos family is cheap. They do not want to go out and spend money on a head coach because they would have by now. They keep hiring these first time head coaches. They come cheap, and all of them are not, who they think they are or who the fans think they are. They're always underwhelming. There's always something lacking. Mike McCoy, Anthony Lynn. Now you have Brandon Staley. All these guys are just not cut out to be head coaches. And we've seen with the other guys, they haven't been head coaches anywhere else. Anthony Lynn is not a head coach anywhere else. Mike McCoy wasn't a head coach anywhere else. So we had literal guys that we were the only ones that would hire them as head coaches. So I don't know. I don't know what this means, but it's not a good sign. This organization, this franchise they're not in a great place right now. And it's going to continue to get worse. The longer they allow it, Doris is gonna get. You sound like you were a water boy and never played organized sports with your con. Yeah, exactly. These comments don't make any sense. What you're saying, man. They honestly don't. It's the NFL. Everyone knows how to run a slang. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tom Telesco is on his third coach as a GM. Yeah, this is his third one. Yeah, McCoy, Lynn, and then now Staley. So he's on his third one. I know he don't want to go to. I know he doesn't want to go to his fourth coach. I know he doesn't want to, but like I said, a couple more of these thinkers, and it might not be his choice. The more people talk, and I think being in LA could have some type of, not saying that the Spanos family is going to go out and just spend money, but being in LA, being in the stadium, having a superstar quarterback, it is really going, like the national talk is more prominent than it's ever been with Phillip Rivers. People knew what Phillip Rivers was, going into his 10th, 11th year, whatever. So whoever was coaching him, I mean, I guess you could say it really didn't matter to some extent. But with Justin Herbert, everybody knows that he has top 5 talent in this league, right? So who's coaching him really matters, right? And it's a main topic point on a lot of the national shows. So it gets talked about. So a lot of these discussions, a lot of these opinions that, experts and stuff have, they get back to the Spanos family now, because the Chargers are, even though, they're not playing well and all that stuff, the Chargers have never been more prominent as far as the national stage is concerned. They're very prominent now. They are the other team in LA. They share the big stadium. So the prominence now is a little more. I think it's going to put a little more pressure on them, because even just being in San Diego, right? When the Chargers were in San Diego, it was kind of different, right? The San Diego Chargers and stuff. It just wasn't it's not the national prominence that LA has. It's a completely different thing. Even look at the Dodgers and the Padres, right? Like it's a different thing. Yes, they're what is San Diego, about an hour and a half away, whatever, from LA, 2 hours. But the national talk is so much different than it is in San Diego. So I think it's going to put a little more pressure on the Spanos family. Again, I don't think they're going to go out and just be, spend money and get the greatest head coach, but I think it is going to put a little more pressure on them, because the one thing I know about these owners is that they do not like to be looked at in an embarrassing type of light, right? These people are rich. They have super high egos, and for them to be embarrassed based off of whatever's going on, right, in the organization and stuff like that, like things have to get to an embarrassing standpoint for them to make a change. Because with Mike McCoy, when they finally let him go, the losses were embarrassing. When they let Anthony Lynn go, the losses were embarrassing. Remember that 45-0 spanking that the Patriots came and gave the Chargers at home. Things got embarrassing, so they had to let him go. They let him finish out the season, but they had to let him go because the losses were embarrassing, the special teams gaffes, all of that stuff. Now these are embarrassing losses. Again, these are the Jaguars loss, this loss, 2 home losses against probable non-playoff teams. So it's getting to a point now where it's going to be embarrassing. Now, if you get smacked by your Kansas Cities, by your San Franciscos, if the Raiders, beat us at home and all that stuff, I think it's just going to add more fuel to that fire. They do not want to be in a position where they are embarrassed. They don't want that. They also don't want to spend money though. So I think, they're kind of in the middle right now, to be honest, because this was embarrassing. Make no mistake about it, embarrassing loss. See, the problem is that Joe Lombardi's not playing Justin Herbert in play action pass and bootlegs, because Herbert plays so much better when he plays outside the pocket. They can't play. They can't do play action and bootlegs because it doesn't. There's always a free runner coming because the Chargers don't run the ball. The reason why play action works so well is if you have a good running game. If your running game is good, and if you're averaging, 4 to 5 yards a carry, and you're able to run the ball, and if it's not just about running the ball. If you show that you're able to run the ball on 2nd and 6 and get first downs, If you're able to run the ball 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and get first downs off that, you have a run game that a defense needs to respect. So when everybody takes a step forward and you hit the play action, then that's when you get receivers running behind the linebackers, crossing routes, whatever. Then it makes it a lot easier for the quarterback to do what he has to do. But the Chargers don't run the ball. So they don't run the ball, but they still run play action, expecting it to work, and it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. It honestly does not work. Even if you play Madden, you can, if you don't run the ball and you run play action, that's when all of the defense they get in your face and you got to get rid of the ball fast. But that it's like real life, you know what I'm saying? So let's see, we've been making excuses for these players for years. Herbert stares down receivers. No, he doesn't. What are you talking about? No, he does not stare down receivers. That was a bad throw that he made, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. You have made no sense. All of your comments that I've seen, you have made no sense. School the pro. You have made no sense. Do not comment on this shit if you're not gonna make any sense. Because I'm not gonna put up with any dumb shit on my live streams. That doesn't make any sense. If you were going to comment, please make some sense. That's all I gotta say. You've seen the plays, and he plays very well outside the pocket. Then they don't even play Bandy more. Bandy's not what the Chargers need. The Chargers need a bigger guy. Obviously Josh Palmer was that guy until he had that concussion, but Bandy's not it. Bandy only works in a offense that features a lot of slot stuff, and he only works in the slot. He's too small to play outside. He cannot play outside. He gets manhandled outside. There's no way that he can survive. Any portion of the season playing outside the X position. That's Mike Williams. That's what Mike Williams normally plays. You can't have Bandy in Mike Williams' position. There's not a chance. Not a chance. I think Bandy needs to go back to the practice squad, and the Chargers need to make a deal at the deadline for a receiver. I don't know who, but they need to make a deal. School of Pro, please watch games and not highlight. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let's see, today at the game, after the strip ball from Herbert, you can see his confidence during. Yeah, you can see his emotions finally get to him in the game. Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, he was very and you can't really, he always has his poker face on, but you can tell that his energy wasn't there, and he was just kind of like he knew it, and I don't think he was injured or anything, but he just, nobody was ready to play. It was ugly. It's just all around bad. How are you keeping your cool through all this? Because this is the same story every year. I'm used to it. I just expect it at some point, to be honest. With Brandon Staley, I've already resigned myself to it. I've seen enough from him throughout the first couple of games this season to say, okay, I feel he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's very confident in the way that he talks, but I know a bullshitter. I've been around bullshitters a lot, throughout my life. So I can tell a bullshitter, and he seems like he's a bullshitter. So he's a bullshitter. He's a talker. That's what he does. So I can tell. So I know. I pretty much knew that the Chargers were not going to win a Super Bowl, right? I could tell that after week 3. Okay, this team ain't winning no Super Bowl, right? But now, what can they get done? Can they have a good season? Can they compete for the AFC West? And up until this morning, all those answers were yes, right? Obviously, except for the Super Bowl, but I thought that they can compete for the AFC West, make things interesting, but they can't. They just can't. That was foolhardy on my part. That was me trying to play the positive, optimistic role, but I can't. I'm not doing that shit anymore. I don't realize. I don't understand how these pages and these people, these Charger fans, they get online and they can see a game like this where everything is bad from A to Z, and they say, oh, let's still be positive about it. Why? Why should we be positive about this when we got our teeth kicked in by a team that's not going to make the playoffs? Why the hell should we be positive about it? We shouldn't. And I'm not going to be. So that's not going to be me. So yeah, that's it. That's just it. Yeah. Never missed a game in 20 years. Well, you don't know nothing, man. So I'm sorry to say that. So Alexis, even if he lost his confidence, we were down 17 with the ball and the chance to take the lead. Pretty sure you gain all your confidence back after that. Yeah, we still had a chance, but we're not in a position to win. We're not prepared. Like that's really all it is. Now game as well. I was at this game and it looked like everyone was confused between drives. It did. It did. Um, Especially on the routes on TV, you can tell that they were running different routes. Gerald Everett got confused a few times. I had high expectations for Gerald Everett, but damn man, I see why Sean McVay wasn't really able to do a whole lot with him because he leaves a lot to be desired. He can make some really nice catches. He can, carry guys all the way down the field, but then he'll drop, a 7 or 8 yard pass where he's wide open. And it's like, damn, like he cannot just be consistent, and that is it's just a killer. It's a killer. It's like Jared Cook all over again, pretty much. During the huddle, my partner who only watches this stuff because a fan went with me and was like, "Why is everyone on the field so down?" Uh, so, so your partner's not a football fan, but he's seen that everybody's body language. See, and that's the thing. Body language gives it all away, and that's kind of how you can tell with Herbert. Um, he doesn't like he keeps his poker face, but his body language was down today. Um, I was watching, trying to watch between the Laker game as well too, and you know, right before they lost, right before the final, you can tell LeBron's body language was like, his face is not saying anything, but his body language is giving off like what are we doing? Where am I at? Like I want to be somewhere else or whatever. It's very very unique body language that a lot of people can tell, and even people who are not into the game, like you said, your partner's not into, doesn't really watch the games, but they can tell. Like there's just something there about body language. It's so interesting. It's very fascinating. That's why a lot of times I like to watch the games. Like sometimes, well, I mean, depend, maybe not the Chargers, but other games like college games, I like to watch it on mute because I like to see what's going on the field, right, from the player's view. The announcers can say this and that and tell stories, but I want to see what's going on because I can tell maybe if the player is nervous. I can tell if the player is upset, happy, whatever. Body language is definitely a key, and you can see all the body language when you're in the building. So that's definitely something that definitely something that we have to look at with this team here. Yeah. Um, Good game. Good. No, that was a good game by the Seahawks. Gotta give credit to the Seahawks. Seahawks came in and handled their business. I like I said, I wasn't convinced with Gino, but he he impressed me today. He ran this offense really well. That's what seems like that's what the Seahawks fans were looking for. You was looking for that from Russell Wilson for all those years, and Gino did. He played within himself. Like he didn't make too many mistakes. Like it was he impressed me, and the run game got going. And this is a team. I don't think the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs, but the Seahawks can beat anybody in the league right now the way that they play. Because if you're able to run the ball like that, um, the literally the sky is the limit. Nobody can really stop that for 4 quarters. When you're committed to running the ball that much, and when you run it that well, it's hard. And then when you have Gino and he's not turning the ball over and he's making throws, he threw some dimes. I got to give him credit. A couple of those touchdowns were freaking dimes, but when you play like that, when you play that way, that is a formula for winning, like in any era. Running the ball, good defense, and having a quarterback, kind of not really manage the game, but make a throw here or there, right? Third down. Um, I got to give credit. I got to give credit. I can't hate at all, at all, at all. Chargers won't win another game this year, bro. I gotta get you up out of here. I gotta get you up out of here. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Yeah, I gotta put him in. I gotta put him in a timeout. Man, talking crazy. Saying they won't win a game, and they won't win another game the whole entire year. Come on. Let's see. Chargers. will not keep the fraud Staley. Yeah, they will. They'll probably keep him. Um, that run game versus the Browns for like a one off. Oh yeah, you're right about our non-existent run game, so defense can just tee off on Herbert all game due to having no respect for our rushing game. Yeah, because they know they're not going anywhere, and the Chargers run the ball. I've said this before about other teams. Well, even the Chargers, they run the ball just so they don't throw it every down. That's the only reason why. They don't run it to get anything going. They don't run it to take pressure off of the offense, the rest of the offense. They don't run it to take pressure off the defense. They don't run it to take time off the clock. They only run the ball so that they don't pass every down. Because if they would pass every down, Joe Lombardi would call passes every single play, but they don't do it. They don't get the run game going. Like the run game is not of importance at all for the Chargers. It doesn't matter, and it's crazy. This is nuts. Like the Chargers ran the ball so much better under Anthony Lynn. That's kind of crazy to me, especially with Brandon Staley being a defensive head coach. Defensive head coaches normally like to run the ball. They like to run the ball and have, you know, control of the clock, take time off the clock, keep the other offense off the field. That's what defensive coaches are historically known for. Brandon Staley doesn't do that though, which is, I mean, obviously a pretty big flaw. The Chargers should be running the ball, but they don't. So let's see. Chargers offense doesn't work. Defense is weak. Yep, exactly. This guy wants to really believe that Herbert is a bust, but the issue is the right side of the O line because Pipkins is thinking it up and it needs to be. Yeah. No, I got that guy up out of here. I got him out the chat because you're not just gonna come in here and just talk. I'll give you a few times, but he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He said the Chargers are not gonna win the game the rest of the year. Get out of here, man. And then he said Justin Herbert is Ryan Leaf. Bro, come on, man. That's the only like annoying thing about doing live streams. You got jokers like that coming in, like because on regular videos, if I see a stupid comment pop up, I can just get rid of it right away before anybody even sees it. But this, there's a lot of comments here, and I love the interaction because this was obviously the worst game of the season for the Chargers. But you get jokers who come in here like that, talking all this stupid shit. Like I wish there was like a virtual slap button where I can just like go away, get out of here. This is for the grown-ups. You go somewhere else. But yeah, I got that guy up out of here. He don't know what he's talking about. We need to look at some of these losing teams and see if we can get a good wide receiver or a speed receiver off them. Yeah. But even that, like, there's a fine line where we're gonna have to protect our draft capital. We can't give up too much. We can't give up a whole lot for a guy that is maybe just going to be on the team this season because we're going to need our draft picks. And not only that, we're going to have to hit on all of our draft picks because this team is, as far as talent goes, a lot of guys are going to go to different teams next year. They're going to have to pick between, one guy at a certain position because you can't pay everybody. The salary cap is coming to get us. And with Herbert, he's going to be commanding a pretty big contract. The Chargers are going to need to keep their draft picks, and they're going to have to hit on all their draft picks going forward because that's the only way you're going to be able to replenish the depth. So, I do think that we have to get another receiver. Yes, that is paramount. But as far as keeping the draft, the draft capital, we have to keep the draft capital as much as we can. We should be trying to sign guys who are on waivers and stuff like that. But yeah, we need to keep as much as we can because we're going to need it. We're going to need it going down the road. Keep it on point with everything you said. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm just coming on here just keeping it real. A lot of people can go and they can sleep on it and wake up feeling, so great and amazing and later, but I'm going to come on here and keep it real. I call it how I see it. This is a bad team. This is not a playoff team. So if anything changes, I'll come on here and, I think it changes, but until then, this ain't a bad team. This is a bad team, not a playoff team. Love your game analysis. Keep it up and just need a Chargers flag in the background to represent. Yes, I'm working on that. I'm going to get all of this background. I'm going to get it all situated. I'm just waiting for my daughter to get here. She still ain't here yet. So I'm waiting for her to get here. Then I'm going to get this my whole little in-home studio all together. Yeah, I'm going to get some Charger stuff, some Laker stuff as well. I got a Kobe picture that I've been wanting to put up. I need to get it framed. I've been wanting to put it up for a long time. So this background is going to look different pretty soon. But I'm waiting for my daughter to get here first. so I can get everything situated. I was just this entire weekend I was putting together bassinets and swings and getting everything ready, and so my daughter will get here soon. But yes, I'm gonna spruce that up in the back. Got an A- football team and a D+ coaching staff for sure, for sure, for sure. At this point, it might be a D- coaching staff, and depending on how the rest of the season goes, it's going to be an F coaching staff. And I think, in my opinion, um, Claypool is on the market. Claypool will be nice for Herbert. Claypool will be super nice, but I think that's going to cost some real heavy draft compensation for the Chargers. If they feel like maybe I don't know, maybe if they feel like giving up maybe a third rounder for him, but I don't know. That's going to cost a lot. I think doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, insanity. 100%, 100%. Could not have said this better myself. And this is what the Chargers do. This is what we do. We come out, same thing, same process, expect different results. And, now we're here. So I could not have said that better myself. Thank you, Justin Holcomb. Very, very, very well worded statement. We need to get rid of Jerry Tillery ASAP. He's a bust. And to be honest, he's taking a roster spot. Yes. Yeah, and his he's not watching the ball and stuff too. He's getting penalties. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? And there's a reason why the Chargers declined your 5th-year option. He's going to be a free agent after the season. I think I definitely think he should go on waivers. Because when I did the video early in the season, he was like a 2.3 million dead cap hit. He's gotten paid. This has been what 7 games now. So after next week, they should let him go because it'll only be like $1 million cap hit because he would have got half his money already. So it's $1 million to get rid of Jerry Tillery. Let him go. Bring up Breeden Fehoko off the practice squad. Man, yes, 100%. I agree with that. He has not been good at all. It's no strategy behind the play calling. There's no setup plays for later in the game. No same look, different combinations to confuse the opponent. Yes, see, that's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all are the people I want to interact with because this is exactly what I've been saying. There is no setup plays. It's just play calling. It's Madden. Joe Lombardi's up in the booth playing Madden, and whatever happens, happens. And this is the crutch that Justin Herbert has been. And I don't think a lot of people they all of a sudden they're just completely out on Justin Herbert. Oh, he's and yes, he's not playing well, right? He could play better. I know he knows he could play better, but acting like he's the problem is crazy to me because they are just calling plays. They're just telling him, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. Oh, this doesn't work, so let's try this. There's no flow to it. There's absolutely no flow to any of it because, especially after a big play, the Chargers will come out and they'll run the ball and, lost 2 yards, lose 2 yards. They'll come out shotgun run, right? Maybe gain a yard or two. Then it's 3rd and long, and then now it's up to Herbert to be a hero and create something out of nothing. Like that's crazy. I don't like that play calling, and it's scatterbrain play calling, and it tells you that there is no game plan play calling because if there's a game plan and if there's something that you want to stick to, or if there is something that you see on tape in the Seattle defense, right? Maybe their linebackers don't gain enough depth, right? When it's time to pass, or maybe their linebackers are too aggressive, right? And you want to catch them off guard or whatever. You will call plays that put players in that position to succeed, right? To attack a weakness or perceived weakness in the defense that you see on tape. The Chargers don't do that because they don't really attack anything. They will try to run, and then their Herbert is left to throw a contested 3rd down pass, right? Or get sacked, or a strip fumble, whatever it is. Like there is no flow to the offense. And when you watch a team who has a good offensive mind, or a guy who is really, even the younger coaches, right? I watched that Miami game on Thursday night, Miami against Cincinnati. Mike McDaniel has flow to his offense. He has flow to it. They're trying to attack a weakness in the defense, and I think that they seen down the field they had some weakness at safety. So they were running a lot of, and I noticed they were running a lot of routes that attacked the safety. So they were like running the deep routes and then kind of running that deep cross over the middle. And they ran it from both sides. And Tyreek Hill had a bunch of yards that game, even though that was a game that Tua got hurt. But it seemed like they seen something on the film that, they knew that they can go at the safety and they can, as long as the protection was good, they would be able to have a chance to go downfield and attack safeties. Like the great offensive minds in the league do that. The Andy Reids do that. Any other great offensive coach you can think of, they do that. They go out and attack weaknesses. They don't just go out there and just throw the ball around and just, we'll try this, we'll try that. Nobody really does that. It's only the Chargers that really do this. And because Justin Herbert is so good, he erases a lot of this and you don't see a lot of it. But because he's not playing now, you're seeing all of this being exposed for you right there. So yeah, it's just been a very, very depressing, honestly. As a Charger fan, this is depressing. I had high expectations. The only reason why I thought Joe Lombardi could work back as the offensive coordinator was Justin Herbert did not have to learn a new offense, right? That was the major thing that I was like, okay, he doesn't have to learn a new offense because he had been learning new offenses since he got into the league. But at this point right now, I would have rather him learn a new offense, to be honest, because it's not going well. It's not going well. This offense here doesn't do anything for him, and it just puts him out, in bad positions, and eventually, he will continue to get injured because he is in unwinnable positions. The offensive line can't protect, and it's just a bad all around position for him to be in all the time. And I'm tired if that I would rather have Christian Covington, right? Yeah, I'd rather have Christian Covington too. At least he can make a play every now and then. Tillery, not really. Third pick would work for Claypool for sure. I would hope so. If that's what they want, like a third and maybe like a future like 6 or something like that, pull the trigger. I would definitely do that in a heartbeat. The only thing with Claypool though, Claypool has a huge ego, so I'm not sure if the Chargers want to do that. I'm not sure if Tom Telesco would want to do that because he's not a guy that really fits into the just based off of what I see from him on social media and like what I've heard other players or other coaches say about him. He's kind of egomaniac. So I don't know how that's going to fit in the locker room. None of the Charger guys are really like that. This culture is good. That's the one thing I'll give them credit for. The culture is good. Everybody's kind of, to themselves and stuff. Nobody is really that me guy. And all these guys are pretty much quiet too. You never really hear anything about them. Nobody's even really see them around in LA or whatever. Like they probably just stay in Orange County and just kick there all the time. They're not around in clubs or anything. So I think Claypool would have some of the I think he would, I don't know. I don't know if he would develop a diva personality being just in the LA area, maybe possibly, but that would be something to watch for because that guy is he is talented, but I would worry about the locker room fit with him. Bro, Tiller, yeah, don't even get me started. Yeah, Tiller, yeah. And they got him in the game and they got him, he's still in the game, even though he's making, boneheaded plays. The penalties, yeah, it's just, and he doesn't, his one area that I thought that he maybe could have some type of positive impact was, rushing the passer on maybe third downs, but he can't even do that. He's not even doing that really. So the fact that he's out there just running around and not doing anything, yes, it doesn't make sense. And you have Morgan Fox, who's been pretty damn good this season. He's not getting enough reps to me. So yeah, it don't make sense. I really want Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller would be good too. He's a down the field threat. He would be much less costly than Claypool. And I think Will Fuller will fit in the locker room too. I think he's a pretty quiet guy. We need Brendan Filhoka. At least he will play with heart. Yeah, definitely. And he doesn't. The fact that he doesn't get in the game is crazy. He was the best run stopper the Chargers had last year. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We also run too many wide receiver screens for a team that don't have a exactly. I don't understand that. I don't under the screens are just they don't make any sense. They really don't make any sense. And then the way that the Chargers run them too, I haven't been able. Like I said, I watch every I watch every film, all 22 film after the game. They're normally available about a day after the game. I've been trying to find, like, I've been trying to look at it from a defensive perspective and seeing what the Chargers do to tip that they are running a screen, but I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll figure it out tomorrow or Tuesday, but they're doing something that they tip the defense off anytime they're running a screen. That's why the screens don't go anywhere. That's why they're either at a loss or they're either like negative yards. Like, they don't go anywhere. Just not just on top of the Chargers not having any speed, but they like it's kind of like a pitcher who can tip his pitches, right? He'll turn his glove this way if he's throwing a curveball, or he'll have his glove, straight up if he's throwing a fastball. They're giving away their plays, and these teams, they see it enough on film throughout the week. They know what they're running. All of these teams are prepared defensively to face the Chargers. They do nothing that is surprising to a defense. They don't come out in any formation that's surprising to a defense. They do nothing that surprises anybody. So when the Chargers do make plays, it's because they actually really did make a play. It's not because they had, any advantage or anything. It's because they did make a play, because these teams are prepared for what the Chargers run. They are prepared because they run the same plays all the time. There's never any variation to them. And Joe Lombardi thinks that he's doing something offensively because he has a guy running in motion. They know that we're not going to give anybody the ball in motion. The Chargers haven't done that, I think, since week 3 or 4. So the last time they did a zone sweep handoff, they don't do that, and the Chargers just do that just because. And again, that's because Joe Lombardi is copying what Sean Payton did. He doesn't have the knowledge; he's just copying what he did. But that's what they do, and teams know what we're going to do. So it's very hard to gain an advantage when teams come out and know what you're going to do. So, yeah, what's your opinion on OBJ, or who would you go after you had a choice? I was like off OBJ, but seeing this now, I would say yes. Welcome to LA, OBJ. if that's what he wanted to do, we obviously need wide receiver help like crazy. He would fit in, I think, and I think he would be really. I think he would be really ecstatic to play with a quarterback with the arm talent like Justin Herbert. But again, I think with him, I think it's going to come down to the contract details. He's just coming off an injury. So I don't think wherever he signs, wherever he does end up signing, I don't think he's just going to sign for the rest of the season. I think he's going to sign for the rest of this season and probably just be guaranteed another season in 2023. So if the Chargers wanted to do that, I wouldn't be mad at it. Definitely now, because I know that they need wide receiver help. And they've been needing it, right, since Jalen Guyton's been out. And you have all these injuries. Now, Mike is probably going to be out for a good amount of time. Keenan Allen is still not right. The wide receiver position is not looking good. Joshua Palmer, concussion, so we know how the NFL is dealing with concussions now. So we don't know when he's going to be back. So things could not look very well for the receiver position for a while. So if OBJ wanted to come to LA, I would welcome him with open arms. And if he was healthy and was able to pick up the playbook and all that stuff, he would get a lot of targets and he would get a lot of catches right now. Especially you got to replace Mike Williams, and not that you can replace him, but you kind of have to try to replace his production. So OBJ would be a guy that I would definitely go for. But we'll see once he makes his decision. Hopefully he's looking at us now with all of the injuries going down, because he would get the most production here in LA at this point right now. He would get the most catches, the most yards, the most touchdowns, because we would have no choice. So hopefully he's looking at us now, though. Hopefully. Maybe should have gone after Robbie Anderson. He would have helped with spacing. Yeah. Oh, Robbie Anderson. Yeah, he could have. Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna go that route, then I don't. You got to get somebody who's gonna make a difference. To me, I think Robbie Anderson's good, but I don't think he's that much of a difference maker. Plus, he was getting into the fights with the coaches, so they just wanted to let him go. They let him go for a couple of late round picks. So I don't know. Maybe he could have made a difference, but not too much to me. Maybe promote Shane Day to OC. Maybe, but it doesn't seem like the Chargers are going to let go of Joe Lombardi. He's going to be here for the rest of the season. So at this point right now, you just got to let it play out. And if this shit goes up in fire, it just goes up in fire. Like just let it happen. Let it happen and then start off clean next year. But I don't I mean maybe Shane Day can I'm sure he could be better than Joe Lombardi, but the this offense is just not good enough. Like the scheme is just not good enough. And we're seeing it now. So I mean maybe a different play caller, you can have more energy with it, but this scheme has to change. They have to get more run oriented, and the passing game has to come off of the run, right? It's got to be West Coast offense type stuff. It has to come off of the run. Because you're able to do a lot of different things, right? When you're able to run the ball, right? You're able to go short, you're able to go intermediate, and if you want to go deep, if you have it there, then you can do all of that. That's what the West Coast offense allows you to do, and it's customizable. That's what the Eagles run. Who else runs it? What the Niners obviously run it. The Chiefs run it. They run a version of it. It's customized to what Patrick Mahomes can do. You can just customize it. You can just make little tweaks here and there, and you can put your quarterback, right? You can, whatever strengths he has, you can push him all the way to the front with that offense. You can customize the offense around him. This offense is not for Justin Herbert. It was made for Drew Brees, and it's breaking down now. The league knows it. The league knows it when they play us. We ran this all last year, and it was new last year. So I think a lot of the success that we had last year was based off of it being new. A lot of teams didn't see it, but now they can go back and look at film from 2021 and compare it to what the film they see this season. And a lot of the plays are similar, just different personnel, pretty much everything is the same. So they can figure us out now. So I think the scheme is the problem at this point right now. Obviously, Joe Lombardi is an issue, but the scheme is just not good enough. They got to go away from it. They got to get better. They got to get faster, and they have to push the ball down the field more. What are your thoughts on Kenneth Murray so far? I feel like he is playing great with Drew. Yeah, they played pretty well. I think they played well today. But it's a lot of the stuff I feel like in coverage is not. I feel like they're out of position. I don't know. It's just something when every time I watch the film, they are just. It seems like they're a little bit confused. I'm not sure what Staley wants them to do. I'm not sure if he wants them to gain as much depth as they do sometimes. I don't know. They seem like they're a little bit in limbo. I think when they're able to play aggressively, kind of like they did against the Broncos, that's when they're going to be at their best. When they're able to play aggressively and play downfield, that's when they're at their best. Tranquil and Murray both. But that also starts with stopping the run, and that's something that the Chargers don't do. So if you stop the run, then you can have your linebackers come down and play aggressively. But the Chargers didn't stop the run today. They gave up 215 yards on the ground. So between stopping the run, the play action, there's just a lot of responsibility for those guys. And I don't know. I think the scheme is just not really suiting them well. They're very good players, and they're trying their best. I recognize that they're trying their best, but I don't know, man. It's just the scheme is just not great. It's not great at all. Still haven't seen Spiller or JT Woods. Spiller got in today. His first run was -5 yards. They ran him in a shotgun run, like an off tackle run. And Spiller's not a fast running back. He ran a 4.6 at the combine. So he's a vision guy. And that's the type of runner that you want to run up between the tackles. But they ran him on the outside, and they were able to catch him because he's not the fastest guy. He's not, I don't know, think of a fast running back. He's not a fast running back. He's not going to be able to just get to the outside. He's not like a Saquon Barkley. Like he does his damage in between the tackles. He's able to, kind of set up his blocks and be patient. And then once his block is set up, then he puts his foot in the ground. He's able to go, right? Gain 6-7 yards. But the Chargers, again, the play calling doesn't suit anybody's, strengths, really. They're just calling plays just to call plays. And you've seen that he had a really big loss on that play. And that was the first time we've seen him. But yeah, it's crazy, man. If after the bye week there isn't a big change, they do have to go at the end of the season. Yeah, I agree. He's not, and I don't expect there to be a huge change. There's not going to be a huge change. they do what they do. Brandon Staley has talked about it several times. It's our process. It's our process. It's our process. It's his process of not doing anything. He doesn't do shit. They don't prepare. They don't, do advanced scouting. They don't do any of that stuff. They do the same thing against every team, and they're going to continue doing. So they might get some wins out of it, but it's not. Don't expect wholesale changes because it's not going to happen. Herbert might be, a little more healthy coming out of the bye week as well too. So, that might help as well too. But it's not. Things are not going to change. Basically, pretty much, in a nutshell. Yeah, Murray needs a lot of work because he hits the wrong gaps all the time. Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating. Yeah, he does. I noticed that, especially when they replay like a big running play, he will hit the wrong gap. But again, what is his assignment though? Like, he is too smart of a player to always hit the wrong gap. Like, what is Brandon Staley asking him to do? Because I watched him in college a lot at Oklahoma. He was in the right gap all the time, and he was on everybody's ass. Quarterback, running back, he was on everybody. So what are they asking him to do in this defense? That is what I'm curious of. Because when they just let him play and when they let him get downhill, he can make plays. But I don't know. I'm not sure what they're asking of him. I'm not sure what they're asking of the inside linebackers. But to me, it just doesn't seem like they are really on the same page with everybody else, especially in the running game. They are not gap discipline in the running game, and it shows all the time. Let's see. Off and had no spark today, which didn't. They won't fire. They won't. They just fired Joe Lombardi. Make sure they do. I thought we were in the 2021. No, they're not gonna. I think they hold on to him. I honestly think they hold on to him. Honestly, because at this point right now, it's too late for Staley to distance himself from Lombardi. And that's what I was saying coming into the season when I was doing videos in the offseason. Like, if Staley wants to save his job, like his job personally, then he would have to distance himself from Lombardi and maybe, put some stuff out there that his job isn't safe, whatever, and he's on a week-to-week basis, and then eventually move off of him and then bring somebody else in or elevate Shane Day. But he hasn't done any of that. And this offense has struggled pretty much for the whole entire season. I can't think of a game where the offense really hasn't struggled that much. I mean, maybe the Texans game, but I mean, it's the Texans. So the offense has struggled pretty much week in and week out. So when you have this much talent, when you pay this much money in payroll, right, for all of the talent that you have, you expect more. So I think it's too late now. I think it's too late at this point for Staley to distance himself. He's going to go with Joe. That's his guy. And, he's going to go down with the ship, I think. Eckler was killing him tonight. Why not eat the stick with it or go two backs at Isaiah Eckler or pick up somebody from free agency or use Xander Horvath? Right. They don't use Xander Horvath at all. They have a whole fullback on the roster and they never use him. And that's what the issue is when you get the running game going. You bring the fullback in and you let him get going. Like, that is foolproof. That is always going to work in football. Having a fullback, it's always going to work. Always. Like, it's one of those things that people are like, oh, this is old school football. Like, I mean, I guess you can say it's old school football, but it's something that's always going to work. Always. It's always going to work. It's just like in basketball, right? If you're able to shoot, it's always going to work. Always going to work. It's never going to go out of style. Like, it is what it is. It's a fundamental part of the game. And if you have a running game that needs to get going, get you a fullback, put the fullback in there, run the ball and make them really contain it and make them really pay attention to it. But the Chargers don't do that. They run the ball here sporadically just to not throw it every down. That's all it is. They have Xander Horvath, and he has been good too. Like, he had 2 touchdown catches. He can do some stuff out of the backfield too. Like, that would be a different look. A lot of teams haven't really seen him out of the backfield. They've seen him out of the backfield at the goal line, but they haven't seen him out of the backfield between the 20s. So that would be a different look. But they don't do it. They just don't do it. Like, they don't do it. Anything that can give them an advantage, they don't do. They stay away from, and it's stupid, but that's how the Chargers play. And yes, it is very, very it's very frustrating if you're a fan. So Staley should take a page out of Dan Quinn's defensive book. They run a different scheme though. They run a 4-3. Dan Quinn is a good defensive coordinator though. Um, I don't know if he would be a head coach. I wouldn't want a defensive head coach. I would want an offensive head coach for Herbert. But yeah, I like Dan Quinn. He's been pretty good for the Cowboys past couple of seasons. Yeah, so he knows what he's doing. He's been in the league for a while. So Dan Quinn for head coach, nah. Dan Quinn for defensive coordinator, I'm all in on that. But head coach, no. Jags, not sure. Any trades in mind? I think this is the same question here too. Who would you like the Chargers to pick up as head coach? I know everyone wants Peyton, but I think he might not be the answer. I don't. I definitely want an offensive head coach. If not Sean Payton, it's got to be somebody who has offensive knowledge and not just, a few years here, a few years there, like Staley. It's got to be somebody who knows offense. And I would like somebody who is not a first-time head coach. I would like somebody who has been through it before, who doesn't have to establish himself as a first-time head coach. I don't know. I can't really. I was thinking of some people a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who they were. I know somebody was saying Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs. I don't think that he'll do it. He would be a first-time head coach, and to me, it would seem a little bit similar to this situation now. Like Joe Lombardi is copying Sean Payton's offense, and it would seem like Eric Bieniemy would copy Andy Reid's offense, even though I think he's more knowledgeable offensively than Joe Lombardi is. I don't want a copycat. I kind of want a guy who just does, is able to to do what he does, and already be established. I was saying last year, Jim Harbaugh. I was saying Jim Harbaugh last year because I think Jim Harbaugh would be a fantastic coach for Justin Herbert. We've seen what he did with Andrew Luck in college, and we see what he did with Colin Kaepernick, right? A guy who's not even that talented of a quarterback, right? He got him to the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, he made a great defensive hire. Vic Fangio as his head coach. Vic Fangio could still be out there too. So if the Chargers wanted to go with a guy like Jim Harbaugh could call Vic Fangio and say, "Hey, come to LA with me. Let's do this all over again with a team that is just as talented as the Niner team, right? Maybe even more talented." But I think Jim Harbaugh would really, really make a difference in LA because Jim Harbaugh, everywhere he goes, he improves the run game. And the run game gets tough and the team gets tough. It's always a power run game. There's fullbacks, there's tight ends, heavy tight end sets. They bring in extra linemen. They run the ball. Everywhere Jim Harbaugh goes, he runs the ball. That would be the guy that I would say because he would change the philosophy in LA. It would no longer just be it's kind of weak, the running game, right? The Chargers running game doesn't scare anybody, right? I like Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler, but it doesn't scare anybody. So Jim Harbaugh coming in would be a very, very good hire to me because they would do what they needed to do as far as the offensive line up front, improve that. And then they would get the running backs that they needed as well, too, because you got to have several running backs if you're going to run his style of offense. And then that run game, that power run game would just make things so much easier for Herbert, right? He would be down the field, to whoever, right? Guys would be wide open. And it's all in his scheme that he runs. Again, it's West Coast offense stuff. So he's had success everywhere that he has went, college and NFL. So he would be able to bring power running game to LA. That's what I want because the Chargers need to get tougher. And unless you get a power running game, you're not going to really scare anybody, especially in the playoffs. You bring a power running game with you to LA, that can travel in the playoffs. That can travel to Buffalo in the playoffs. That can travel to Kansas City in the playoffs. Who else? They can travel to Baltimore in the playoffs. A power running game, and then Justin Herbert play action. All of that stuff can travel in the playoffs. So that's who I want. I want a guy who is really, really dedicated to a running game, not just talking about it, but is dedicated to improving the running game. Because all it's going to do is just make Herbert that much more deadly when he's in the pocket, play action, all of that stuff. It's just going to make him even more of a threat. So I want a guy who's going to take the run game seriously. Harbaugh would be my choice right now. let's see. I think there are times where Justin chooses to check it down. Also, though, first drive he had Carter down the seam and protection, and chose to check it to Eckler. Yeah, yeah, he has been. He has been doing that, but I mean, if they call, if Joe Lombardi calls 35 check down plays and 2 shot plays, he's gonna check it down. Like it's just it is what it is. Like that's what he's used to now. Like that is not the philosophy of this offense. It's not to put pressure on defense. So I mean, can we be mad at Herbert for taking on a little bit of Lombardi's personality at this point? I don't think we can. I think this is Staley's fault. You got to get the guy out of there. You're not accentuating his strengths. So I don't know, man. I just don't know. And then even too, if Herbert's thinking, oh, maybe there's a chance this can get intercepted or whatever, like I can't really blame him too much. He does need to play better. I will acknowledge that. But this offense just all the way around is just not good. It's not good for anybody. So doesn't matter if we get better receivers. Lombardi's system is going to limit them. Exactly. Exactly. I say the same thing. Next year, draft a wide receiver or a defensive tackle. No, we need a wide receiver for sure. We got a defensive tackle. Otito, the 5th-round pick this year. He's been playing well. He's been playing a lot more too. He plays well in the run game. It's just everything else, around him is not really, working out. But as far as the scheme goes, but he's a pretty good player, and I think he's a D tackle of the future. So I don't think we need to draft a tackle. We definitely need a wide receiver, speedy wide receiver. Let's see. Wow, his first carry and it's in shotgun exactly with CJ's not CJ, Isaiah Spiller. Yeah, and he's not a fast guy either. He is a between the tackles guy. He's kind of has a little bit of the Le'Veon Bell kind of take your time type of stuff. He's not a speed burner, but he's a guy that can pick up yards just based off his vision. And yeah, they run him out there in a speed run, and obviously it's just not that's not his strength. So not his fault. We need a speedster like Tyron Johnson to open up the field for Herbert with this season, or in the draft next year. Probably gonna be in the draft. We're already halfway through this season, so I don't see them doing that. I would be shocked if they did, but I don't see them doing that. The Chargers are so freaking disappointed. Lamar doesn't know how to run this offense and use Justin. Yeah, Staley brought in JC, doesn't play him to his strength. Exactly. And that's what I was saying too. He's not in man-to-man. He's not in press man-to-man. That's where he has his most success in press man-to-man. But he's in cover 3, especially when he's able, because he's a big corner. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, so he's a big corner. He's able to get his hands on guys. He's able to get them off their routes, and there's no flags, no pass interference, no holding calls within the first 5 yards. So if he's able to disrupt the route from the beginning, then he has the advantage going down the field. And, when he's just sitting there waiting for a guy to come back and run into his zone, then all he can do is just react to that. So, yeah, he hasn't been playing well, but, a lot of it is the scheme. It's not a great scheme fit. We know this now, but I think JC needs to be – I know he's very down on himself and all that stuff, but I think he needs to – my advice for him, if he was watching this, I would tell him – be patient, because you're probably gonna get a new coach. So that you're probably gonna get a new coach, and whoever the new coach coming in is probably gonna be offensive coach, and they're probably gonna hire a defensive coordinator that can get the most out of you. That would be my advice to him. But at this point, right now, just heal this injury. That looked like a pretty bad injury today. Probably gonna be the rest of the season. So heal that up, come back stronger next year, and you might be learning a new defense, depending on how things go this year. So we should have kept Tyron Johnson, no cap. Yeah, I agree. Drafted JT Woods, bust. Yeah, he don't even play. He don't even suit up. I think he suited up twice this year. Hasn't gotten the field. Not even any special teams. 3rd-round pick. Yeah, absolutely stupid. Tyron Johnson was the truth and had the most sticky hands on the team. Yeah, and he was going deep, and he had chemistry with Herbert too. And he had he was averaging like 20 yards a catch too. I think he only had like 20 catches, but he had like 400 or almost 500 yards or something like that. So he was a down the field threat all the time, pretty much on every play. Yeah. Staley is that can't get right that everyone knows. Yes, he is. Yep. And he's gonna take a lot of credit in the I don't normally watch a lot of the national like sports media shows, but I'm gonna be watching tomorrow. They're gonna go at him, and they should. They definitely should. He needs to be he needs to be drug over the coals because what he's doing to this team, what he's doing to Justin Herbert is unacceptable. It's inexcusable. And he needs to be held accountable for it nationally on a national basis. I felt Murray had a great rookie season in Gus Bradley's scheme, but then took a step back when he switched to Staley's scheme. Right. Because like I said, I don't know what Staley is asking from him. I know in Gus Bradley's scheme, he was able to play. Gus Bradley did have a very, 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 very simple scheme, but it worked, and it won the Seahawks a Super Bowl. So and he still has a job now, and it worked for the Raiders last year too. Their defense was worse, way worse before he got there. So his simple scheme is simple, but it works everywhere he goes. Like his scheme is much better than Staley's now. So yeah, so Staley was supposed to fix the defense, but all he did was make it worse at this point with more talent. I've seen Xander Horvath, and he is Lorenzo Neal 2.0 with catch. Exactly. He is Lorenzo Neal 2.0, and he is more of a pass threat too. I think he can even be. He seems to be like a physical freak. Like they can even move him out. He could probably line up like at some of the receiver positions and probably like run routes and catch passes. That's how athletic he looks. He looks like a physical freak. Like he's yoked. He's yoked, but he is like very, very athletic. And you see him in the games, like when he caught those 2 touchdown passes the first 2 weeks, those were really clean, crisp routes from a fullback. Look like Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco. Very clean. The Chargers don't use him though. He could be a weapon, but they don't use him like they should. He gets in the game maybe once or twice, doesn't do anything, and then that's it. So yeah, he could be a weapon if they chose to use him that way. Xander Horvath is right. Staley should have stayed DC. Yeah, he should have. Not Coach Worthy, brought in Lombardi. Yep. Yes, sir. Jim Harbaugh for Herbert. Connors Manos. Well, I mean, it's all going to depend on if they want to pay him his money, because he's not a Super Bowl winning coach, but he got to the Super Bowl. So if he gets his money, I think the Chargers would be able to get him, because Michigan, they look like they're a pretty good team this year. They look better than they did last year, but anything short of a national championship, I think he's going to be out there, on the market, because he was exploring it this year. He interviewed for the Vikings. He almost had the Vikings job. So I think he's got a wandering eye. So we'll see how this year finishes out in college, but he wants to come back to the NFL. He's made it known he does. He said he's got unfinished business. So this Charger team could use a coach like Harbaugh. They really could. Let's see. Herbert looks the same since the Chiefs, but our head coach and OC needs to go. Yeah. And his ribs are injured. And I got on here right after the injury happened, and somebody said it took them 6 weeks to heal. They had the same injury, and not 6 weeks, 6 months to get right. So that obviously wasn't 6 months ago. So for him to even be playing with this injury right now it's amazing. But I think if he is going to play, he has to play better. But I mean, even if he doesn't play, who are we going to go to? Chase Daniel? No. So we're stuck right now. We're stuck right now with the injured Herbert and a bad coaching staff. But I mean, things are not looking good for us. Well, man, yes. Shout out to the Spanos. I mean, they got tight wallets, so we'll see. Somebody will have to convince them of that. I don't know who. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody else. Maybe Tom Telesco. I don't know. But they got tight wallets, so I'm sure they would be interested in Harbaugh. But their interest is probably going to wane when it comes to his salary demand. So we'll see. I don't know, man. Coach D is pretty cheeks. Yeah, they're not good, but I don't know. The Colts team is just not good. But Gus Bradley, before the Colts stint, he's been pretty decent everywhere else. He was decent with us. He was decent with the Raiders last season. He was in Jacksonville as a head coach. He's obviously not a head coach, but the Seattle defense was good. That covered 3 that won in the Super Bowl, the Legion of Boom. So he's been pretty good everywhere else. But yeah, I mean the Colts are not great. They got some good players on defense, but they're not a great defense. Yeah. Yeah, Falcons are sleepers. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, they are. They can beat the brakes off of us right after the bye. So stay tuned for that. OG coaches always beat up on Staley Chargers for sure. Yeah, Pete Carroll was chewing gum and stuff, and he was messing around and clowning around. Yeah, he was having a good time because he knew that they were going to come out and beat the shit out of us. So why not have a good time on the sideline? Uh, Jeff Jeff Bezos scouting Chargers a game on Thursday Night Football. Oh, Tobias? Ooh, I would hope so. I would hope so. We could only hope because he would definitely hire the right people. So I would hope so. I would really 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 hope so. I'm gonna do some research on that because that's interesting. You kind of got me excited there for a little bit. Hopefully that is true. I agree. We need an OC mastermind. We blew it not bringing in Dable. Yeah, we did. And Dable brought his guy Kafka from the Chiefs. So Dable has the knowledge, but Kafka is the one calling the play. So Kafka is the one who's making Daniel Jones look pretty good right now. So we would have had a head coach who has knowledge, a lot of offensive knowledge, but he would have brought Kafka with him too from the Chiefs to call plays, to switch things up, give defenses different looks. But yeah, we blew it on that. So I wish we could go back in time, but we cannot. I think our corners will play better, especially JCB played more man-to-man coverage and just blitz more in general. Well, 100%, 100%. Very simplified stuff. We could do it, but they just don't for whatever reason. We play a lot of cover three, a lot of zone stuff with Derwin James coming down in the box and moving all around. But again, we do it all the time, so defenses are able to, you know, telegraph what we're doing, and I mean, offenses are able to telegraph what we're doing and still be able to run the ball or throw the ball, whatever they can do, whatever they want to do. So, hire someone from either Andy Reid tree or Mike Tomlin. Yeah, I would say probably the Andy Reid tree. Anybody, maybe a second time head coach. I don't know who, but yeah, somebody who has some experience as a coach, a coordinator, several years of it too. So not just a guy who's just brand new. So, geez, so see Eric Bieniemy, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just I just don't know what he does. Andy Reid calls the plays, so it's kind of like, what does he do? I don't know what he does during the week. I don't know how his play calling would be because he doesn't call the plays. So I don't know. I feel like that would be another Joe Lombardi situation to me. I want a guy who has called plays before, who knows what to do, who's been in the booth as an offensive coordinator and on the sideline as a head coach. But yeah, I don't know. Head coach or OC for us, Eric Ben. I would take him as an OC if somebody else hired him. Definitely as offensive coordinator, but as a head coach, I don't think so. I think we got to get away from the first time head coaches because they haven't been doing us right. Past 3 times we've had first time head coaches and just things just haven't been good. So I think we got to get away from it. Let's see, man. Damn. Maybe college coach for OC. Possibly. Yeah. They do some good stuff in college. So yeah, I would welcome that. Oh man, let's see. I've been out here for an hour and 53 minutes now. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. Go ahead and catch the rest of this game. Who is it? The Dolphins and the Steelers. So catch a little bit of that. And yeah, sleep on this badass loss. But thank you guys so much for your support. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining me for this live stream. Had a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. And see, first time viewer, new subscription. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Yeah, you have my mind spinning about the Jeff Bezos thing. So yes, I credit you for that. So I'm gonna be thinking about that now. So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. I'll be back probably this week with some more videos. We're still on baby watch, so probably just maybe a few videos until my wife goes into labor, later on in the week potentially. So we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna try to drop as many videos as I can, and yeah, so we'll see you then. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate the support, and signing off now.